All right, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing Isshinryu concept of fighting equally well with either hand forward. As you may be aware, in modern MMA, a lot of the best fighters are neither orthodox nor southpaw. They fight equally well with either hand forward. So, what they do in Isshinryu dojos now is they teach you as a white belt the opposite of what boxers are taught. Boxers are usually taught to keep their strong hand to their back and use their strong hand as their cross punch. In an Isshinryu dojo, they usually teach you to use your strong hand as your jab. Um, and I think the reason for that is to go ahead and train you to be equally well, both orthodox and southpaw. So you switch fight. I do switch fight. Sometimes you can confuse your opponent just by changing your stance, and they will literally stop and be like, "What the hell do I do now?" And then you have time to beat the hell out of them. One time when I was sparring a female dark green belt, and by then I was like a second or third degree brown belt, and I was sparring her, and I'm not going to give her name because I'm not trying to call her out or anything like that. But I started right away in one stance, and about 10 seconds later, I changed my stance, and it confused her so much that she literally stopped and said, like, "What do I do now?" And I'm like, "Well, you have to beat me either way, so you don't have to ask me. You don't need to ask me what to do. You have to adapt to what I'm doing." Whether you're going to change your stance to adapt or whether you're going to go ahead and adapt without changing your stance, you have to make it in your mind in sparring what you're going to do, realistically applying the skills you already know and invent something new on the fly if you need to. So, Shokimoto Sensei once said something along the lines of do kata exactly, but fighting is another matter. All right. So, you can't treat fighting like a kata. Even though the kata attempts to teach you fighting, you can't treat it as a robotic routine. You have to adapt to what's going on and feel out your opponent. In Isshinryu, we have the 10-second rule. We have 10 seconds to feel out and defeat our opponent before we get attacked by a second and third attacker who may be that opponent's friend. All right. So, this notion of somebody wasting 30 seconds in professional fights, I'm like, I can watch the first 30 seconds of round one in a professional fight, and 9 times out of 10, I can tell you who's going to win. All right. Um, because the person, the other guy has bad standing guard mechanics or bad stance mechanics of some sort. And I'm like, he's going to get knocked out. It's just a matter of time. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right. So, one big exception was a guy you may know who was a boxer, Prokop, I think is his last name. And he had a bad habit, and yet he won the fight anyway that I have in mind. And I was watching it at home with my mother that year, and he had a bad habit of stepping over the front when moving to the left, and that's a no-no. All right, it telegraphs all your movement, and it's bad stance mechanics. You're supposed to, especially in boxing, step to the left and drag that foot or slightly above the surface, and then set it down again into your new stance. All right. You don't step over in the front. If you're going to step over, you step over behind, all right, into a cross stance. Um, when you step over in the front, it's too easy for your opponent to see what your motion is going to be. And the announcers were like, he's going to get beat. He's got bad foot mechanics and whatnot. And no, he didn't get beat. By some fluke, he won the fight anyway, in spite of repeatedly making the exact same mistake the entire time. The opponent never capitalized on it. So it doesn't always matter, but it does matter. All right. So thank you very much for watching.